Hi everybody, Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 9, The Quality of Life. So to go back, the last episode, Episode 8, Data commented how it seemed like Geordi was growing a beard, which was kind of interesting, because it was a shadow. And so in this one, he now has a beard again. This is now technically I guess it'd be like the third episode. Now, off the screen, I guess LeVar Burton had wanted to grow the beard for his wedding because he was getting married, and they just kind of wrote it into the show, whereas the very first time, the episode Outcast, he just had the beard for the one episode, and then it went away the next. Whereas this one, they introduced it in the last episode, and now going into this one, he still has it, and then it's gone the next time. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. And I mean, kudos to the Star Trek series writers, the crew, whatever, that they allowed him to do that. What I really like is, like, from the beginning part of the episode, they start commenting on it, and it opens up with the typical poker game, but it's interesting because it's just 4 people now. This time it's Worf, Riker, Geordi, and Crusher. So Counselor Troy's not there, and Data's not there. And Crusher starts talking about how she doesn't really like beards, and how it's men basically, like, throwing their authority, and she's always suspicious. And I mean, she's talking to the 3 guys with beards, so it's just kind of an interesting scene. And they start playing poker and make the bet that they will have to shave if she wins, which, I mean, honestly, for her, that's 3 against 1, so whatever, but it's poker. And I like how Worf had talked about how Klingons view beards as a mark of courage, and so it just keeps going from there. So the main point of this episode is a woman has designed these exocomps, I think is what they were called. And they're basically these little adorable robots, and they have like little feet, and she designs them to basically go where people can't in dangerous situations and to fix things faster than a human can. Well, at one point, one of them goes down like a Jeffries tube, and it's supposed to fix something, but it comes back out. And she's like, oh, that's not right. And so she tries to send it back down there again, but again, it won't do it, or now it won't even move. And then there's an explosion. So Data comes up with the theory that the exocomps are alive, and they're actually like sentient beings. Well, everybody else are like, no, they're just a machine. And then there's a great line where she's like, Data, like, you're a machine and it's a machine, but I'm not going to compare you to a tool. And he says something to like, well, you're a human, you're alive, and a virus is alive, but I'm not going to compare the two of you. And it's a really great scene. So from here, Picard gets trapped on a different ship, and Riker wants to use the exocomp to go save him, but it would destroy them. And so they set up some tests and stuff prior to this where the exocomps are supposed to be in that jeopardy situation and save themselves, but they don't. Well, it turns out that they saw through the test. So Data's back to no, these things are alive. So he locks everybody out of the controls, so Riker can't beam them over to Picard, which right there, now we're seeing Data go through all sorts of different stuff where he could be court-martialed and kicked out of Starfleet, if not arrested. So lots of interesting stuff that Data's putting on the line just for his hypothesis. And now finally, Data comes up with the idea to ask them if they're willing to do it. So they do. They ask the exocomps change some of the parameters, like where they'll be teleported and why, but they agree. They go over there. Riker sends 3 of them over there. 2 of them basically grab Picard and come back, and one of them ends up more or less killing itself to save everybody else. It's a really interesting just episode in general. The creator of them ends up like basically pulling out of her asking for Starfleet's approval to go into more research on where does a tool end and where does life begin. And Data even has a line in there where he talks about like when Sung was making me, where did it go from just a bunch of parts on a table to me being Data as you know of me and being sentient. And it's just really interesting. And probably the most touching is the last scene where Data says to Picard, "You once came to my defense about being sentient and not a machine," which is a shout out to Measure of a Man. So now it was Data's turn to go to a different machine and stand up for them. It was a good episode. It was really well done. It was really interesting to kind of watch things unfold. Again, Brent Spiner shines anytime he's on the screen, but he does a great job in coming to defense of these exocomps. I thought he did a really, really well job. Really good job. Jonathan Frakes directed this episode, so anything Jonathan Frakes even thinks about directing is amazing by itself. And so I felt like this was a really good job. And I think it's interesting that Jonathan Frakes directed this, and then Riker was kind of a dick throughout this whole episode, wanting to send the exocomps out. I don't know, that could be me reading too much into it. For those who have seen this one, what did you guys think? Did you guys like this one? Did you think it was kind of a sequel to Measure of a Man? Go ahead, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you guys next time for the two-parter Chain of Command.